Hello and welcome to mission 2 of the GMT's Field of R2 Peleliu campaign. It's back. I decided to continue on with the campaign after mission 1 where we had the initial landings, initial assault, which we won. Hopefully you've seen that. If not, I recommend you have a look at least at the intro, where I run through some of the rules. But we're here on mission 2, which is titled the Japanese counterattack. And just looking through the format of this, it's only a 4-turn game, we start pretty much where we left off with the mission 1. We're in the line of palm groves. That's all the units across here, and I just want to show you how this all matches up, because the first three missions are all linked from the surf zone, which was the row 1 we had on mission 1. We had 4 cards, and we ended up with the palm grove, which was stationed right up here. That's now here, and we have 3 new rows above it. This is 2 airfield rows, and then a jungle row. Just to illustrate how it looks, in the rulebook it describes how this should be set up. So if I just show you the campaign map here. So this is color coded, so we have the surf zone here, beach, dunes, palm groves, which is now our row 1, 2 airfield, and jungle. So these guys are now behind us. Mission 2 is on these 4, and we have those in front of us. Mission 3 is also on these 4 as well, so we never go back to the dunes and the beach at all. That's in the past now. Okay, so there's a couple of things with this this particular mission, which I think that they're effectively a little bit. I think there's been one error on the scenario instructions, and I'll just show them. Here is the mission instructions, and it has it for each of the missions in the whole campaign, 1 to 8. We just did number 1 here, the initial assault, and now we're on Japanese counterattack. Now, the issue I have here is here on the type. So there's 2 types of mission you have. There's an offensive and a defensive. And as you say, it says this isn't an offensive mission, so we are attacking. Now, what I will do is draw your line across 2 tactical controls here. And if you see in scenario 1, it has primary and secondary objectives as part of the tactical controls. Now that's normal, and we clear either objective to win. This is what we did before. Now when we look at the scenario 2 here, or mission 2, we have an MLR between row 1 and row 2. MLR is main line of resistance, and the victory is secure row 1 against Japanese counterattack. Now, with offensive type missions, you get primary and secondary objectives. You don't get MLRs. You don't get main line of resistance. If you have a defensive mission, you have an MLR, main line of resistance. Also, if we look at what's known as the IJA activity, so what type of activity the Japanese are doing, we had deliberate defense before. If you remember that column we were looking at. Now here we have overrun attack. Now again, overrun attack only happens if the Japanese, if we're running a defensive mission. So I'm kind of making the executive decision that is actually wrong, and that it should actually be a defensive mission. Now it doesn't sound like a big deal, but it does actually change the sequence of play. If I get you the sequence of play here, then come here. We went through this before, of course, in the first mission. Now, with defensive missions, the enemy activity phase is here, whereas on offensive missions, the enemy activity phase is here. So it actually we go after. This is the command phase, and all the activities happen for us. We go after the Japanese, whereas normally when we're attacking, we go before. So it does actually change the sequence of play here, but I'm pretty confident this is meant to be defensive. So I'm well, not arbitrarily, but I'm deciding that that's how we're playing it here. So what have we got? Well, we have two things. Of course, we have. I'll just bring it into view here. We have our wonderful command display. Sorry about the glare there. Let's see if I can get rid of that. Yeah, there we go. We have the command display with our command chits available, our commands available, counters here to run on our track. We're still daylight, and we have our assets and radios, etc. Pretty much as we had before. Really, nothing much has changed. In fact, very little has changed. So, going from the command display, we have, of course, the terrain map, and we have our 4 rows. We have a staging row here. So the staging row is normally the sort of row 0 of cards. This is friendly territory, and we didn't have one in the previous mission, of course, because the row 1 was actually the sea, so there wasn't anywhere to have a staging area. But now that we're on land, we will have a staging area. As you can see, I have units here. Now, the bone of contention in what I was looking at these mission instructions is this counter here, which is main line of resistance. That's our MLR counter, and that's supposed to go between row 1, this guy, and row 2. So we can set up in a defensive, and again, this is why it leads me to be a defensive mission. We can set up anywhere behind the main line of resistance. So that's what I've done. And what have we got here? So what I've done is, if you'll recall from the aftermath of the first mission, the first platoon took quite a beating. I didn't actually, we don't get any replacements, and the holes were in 2 places. We had the first platoon and also the machine gun platoon. And if I look at our roster here, our log, I've written out a new one. And as you can see here, we're missing steps. Those are the X's from the 2nd and 3rd squad. First squad is fine, but these 2 have had knocks. And also here we've lost 2 machine gun teams as well. One thing also to note is our mortar section is actually now 1 unit. It was 3 units on the landing, and that was, it tells us to do that, and it says, other than that, it should be 1 unit. That unit is actually now, is actually now here. That's the mortar section. But this is on, it has 3 steps on it, and actually it should normally have 4. We did actually lose a step on the mortar section, and we haven't replaced it, so we're on 3 steps here now. Okay, so how have I positioned here? So the first platoon is actually in reserve, so he can move up if necessary. We've also put in reserve the flamethrower and demolition teams, because really they're not really involved in defending a counterattack here. They're not going to move forward and try and blow up bunkers or anything like that. What I've then done is we have the 2nd platoon here, split across here with the HQ here, and then we have the 3rd platoon here across here, and that let me zoom in so you can see these guys, and they cover, so 2nd platoon here, 3rd platoon here. We have a tank platoon which is given to us. It's not the same as the amphib LVTA4s we got gifted from an HQ event last game. Those have gone. This is actually provided to us. There are 2 Shermans, so your normal Sherman tanks of World War II fame. We have 2 of them, one here and one here. So we have a tank platoon as well to help us. We have our machine guns spread out, so each card has a machine gun here to produce fire lanes. Our COHQ is here, gunnery sergeant here, XO here. Now, why I've got the XO here is, if you see, we have the two tank units here and here. Over here, we have also another attachment that's just appeared for this scenario, which is the 37mm anti-tank gun team from the anti-tank company of the regiment, I suppose, and that's going to be on this card. This means that there isn't any heavy weapons here, so I've actually stationed the mortar section down here with the mortar section HQ, and the XO's here. Now the XO has a radio, as does the mortar section HQ, so therefore the XO can call down fire from the mortar section. So that kind of covers us always up. We also have bazooka teams on the flanks here as well. As far as the forward observers go, we've got the air controller here, though we don't have any air missions. We have the artillery forward observer here, the battalion mortar forward observer, and we do have some battalion mortars off board, and that's a lot. So we have the MG HQ here as well, and that completes what we've got here. As far as the fire missions available, a lot better than we had on the first mission. We only had one naval gunfire, which we didn't end up using, of course, but here I've got them written down here. We have 75mm artillery, which can fire 80 rounds, and we've got 2 fire missions, so 2 shots with that. Battalion 81mm mortars with 2 fire missions available there. Also has 1 of white phosphorus if we want it, and we have our naval gunfire here as well. So we've got quite a lot of support here if we need it, and that's why we have the battalion mortar forward observer here with us. All the forward observers were with us in mission 1, but they trailed in at the end and didn't do very much. Right, so that's what we have. Now, what do they have in front of them? So we have our 2 airfields, and let me just move the camera forward and we can look at those in a bit more detail. Excuse me for the jogging about. And as you'll note, they are +0 cards. So this is completely open, 2 rows of completely open terrain. Now, of course, we got mission 3, should we get there, where we have to cross that to attack. Now we're actually defending, so we're expecting the Japanese to appear at the top, and this is the line of jungle, and then sprint across to us. So this is going to be a bit of a shooting gallery, really. And to start us off, we have some potential contact A markers. Those the worst kind up at the top. And I've also got a stack of another 4. So turn 1, we will resolve these markers. Once these markers are resolved, we actually have a whole second set to appear on turn 2, and then nothing in the rest of the game. So what I'm expecting is we're going to have a lot of stuff coming in, and in 2 waves, and then that'll be it. But we only have 4 turns anyway. And remember, our victory here is to keep row 1 secure. So we've got to keep the Japanese out of this row. We've got a lot of material there, a lot of men, so this should be fairly straightforward, I would have thought, especially as they've got to come across that billiard table of an airfield in front of us as they're running through. Although there is a suspicion, I haven't really looked in any detail, but I suspect we might see some Japanese tanks here. But they don't necessarily, generally, are not really up to Sherman standards, so they shouldn't produce too much of a problem, but who knows. Let's see how we go. So that's kind of our introduction here. Yeah, just what else have I got to say? Oh, just one thing that The 37mm anti-tank gun, which is down here, is actually attached to the machine gun platoon. So the machine gun platoon HQ is here with the gun. As we've got the machine guns all spread out, effectively, that's what he's commanding here, is really the anti-tank gun. He's a veteran, seemed like a good idea if we want to use that. Right, so I think we're all ready to go. So we can start the game, but I think the first turn will be fairly simple because we're really waiting for the enemy. I considered actually using some units to try and find some cover. We are in +2 here, which is not bad, and we're not exactly moving, so we won't be exposed per se, but we could find some cover and maybe put, say, the forward observers in it, the machine guns in it. That might be an idea as part of the turn. Other than that, we're kind of waiting for the potential contact markers to mature and something to appear up at the top. So that's the situation at the start of the game. So let's get on with it. Right, here we go. So the first thing we end up having is our friendly HQ event phase, pulling the card. Remember, we don't do that on turn 1, so we ignore that for the moment. Next, because it's a defensive mission, it's actually the enemy activity phase. Part of that phase is, of course, pulling the HQ card for the Japanese. And again, it doesn't happen on turn 1. So moving on, we then have the enemy activity check segment. Now here, this is where it says place PC markers. So I've kind of anticipated it. We already have the markers placed, but normally you would put it down at this point. I've kind of jumped the gun on that, but that's fine. Then we would check enemy activity like we did in mission 1 by looking through the activity charts. Although we're on a completely different chart this time. We're actually on the attack, on overrun attack. So we'll look at that chart when we need to, and it's quite a bit different than what we had before. Right, and from there on we go to the friendly command phase, which is usually as normal, started with our COHQ pulling a card for number of commands. So let's do that. I'm just going to include the command display here. Hopefully everybody can see that okay. And we pull a card and see what we've got. That's a good start, isn't it? So we have 1. There's no contact, so that's +1, and he's a veteran, so that's another +1. So we actually do get 3, but it couldn't have been much worse. Hopefully that's not a portent for the rest of the mission. We don't want to get pushed back into the sea. Thank you very much. Okay, so what are we going to do? So the HQ doesn't have line of sight because, of course, we're in palm groves, so everything is no LOS. So we can't actually use the radio to order anybody about per se. So what we will do, I think, is we will get the COHQ to activate. What have we got here? We have the 2nd Platoon HQ here and the 3rd Platoon HQ here. First thing we think we'll do is we will order the rather than provide a command to a platoon HQ, we will order this platoon to search for cover. So a bit unorthodox here. Normally we would give orders to the platoon HQs, but they're out of range with the radios. Thinking about it, I could have used field phones here, but I'm kind of getting into the idea that this is fairly close after the initial landing where I had radios, and I think it's reasonable to keep with the radios, though strictly I could have switched to phones. Phones would have been much easier here, to be honest, because field phones will work adjacent and beyond adjacent if we have a wire line between the HQs. But I'm sticking with the phones. making things hard for myself, of course, but never mind. So we order this platoon to seek cover, and this is the first platoon, the first squad of 2nd platoon, which is veteran. So we actually get 3 cards to find some cover. So let's see, we're looking for the word cover. Nothing. Cover. Excellent. And our last card here. Right, so we get some cover. I'll just place that in on the card. Right, here we are. So we have cover here. And the squad can go in it, but I'm not sure they will. I probably want to save it for the machine gun and the battalion mortar FO. However, I'm going to have to order them to go in, or leave it up to initiative. Yeah, I think we will just. I think we'll just use our. We'll just use our commands to order both the machine gun and the battalion mortar forward observer to get into cover. Great. Okay, and of course they are exposed, which is a little unusual for defensive mission, but there you go. Here we go. So just there. And that's the CO done with all their commands. We haven't actually told anybody else to do anything. It's not like we want them to do very much anyway. So we're on to our initiative phase. So we'll go through the platoons and we'll draw cards for them. So first platoon HQ is line. All of the platoons are now line with our experience points spent. So on line with +1 for no contact. We have 3, and that's 4. First platoon HQ, I don't really want them to do anything. So in which case, I will just save those. So first platoon up to 4 and save. Remember, with their line, we can save up to 6. Second platoon, possibly slightly more active than first platoon. Let's have a look. We have 4, again, +1 is 5. That's a fair amount. Again, I think what we will do is I want to see if I can order somebody to look for cover. Now, the machine gun unit here is not attached, so therefore he can't be ordered by the platoon. We're left with the other 2 squads here. Now the second and third are both line, so really there's not a lot we can do about that. It has to be line. So the second squad will search for cover, and that's 3 cards. And a rally, and a contact. So no, we didn't find it. We will use a second order to exhort. So 1 more chance, and that's still not a cover. So we didn't find anything. At that point, I'm not sure I want them to do anything else really. I think I might spend a point and bring the second platoon HQ here so that it could receive orders next turn. Again, exposed. Yes. So that's a little risky, but you know, I think we might as well do that. Right, so third platoon, we draw a card, again +1 for no contact, and we have 3, which is going up to a 4. 3 going up to a 4 for third platoon, and the HQ is right over here. And what do we want them to do? Again, I think we'd like to do an order here. Again, we've only got line infantry. We'll use the second platoon to do that, to do a seat cover, which is 3. I think earlier I was talking about using a veteran, but the number of cards for cover is actually on the card here, which is 3. So I didn't get the number wrong, but I think I might have got the rationale wrong. Anyway, looking for cover. We have a rally. A cover, brilliant. And a contact, yeah. So we got the cover. So we'll place that in the spot there. Now we can't order the machine gun and the forward air controller into it, but we'll have it there available. I think I will possibly move the squad in anyway. Yeah, I think I'll do that. And shall I move the platoon HQ in there? Might be an idea actually. I'll use another command to put the platoon HQ in there as well. Give them a bit of cover. Again, we are exposed while doing that because we moved, and yeah, that's it really. That's all. So that's all the platoons done. We have our staff, of course, the XO and the 2 sergeants, and for initiative we just add 1 command to each of them. So just looking across here, put them all in there. We should flip everybody over. We're not going to spend their 1 commands, they'll be useful at some point. And we are left with, oh sorry, we missed out some very important people. We missed out the mortar section. The mortar section is now line, so +1 is 2. I just thought, actually, did I get those? I think I got those orders completely wrong, because they should have been using the smaller number. Let me have a search through. Bit of an error. Let me have a look to see what we had. It's difficult to see. I believe second platoon had a 3 going to a 4. And I might just lob 1 off for that. And third platoon had a 4 going to a 5, which I'll drop 2 off. So he'll be off the chart then. So sorry about that, I got those wrong. It should be the smaller number for initiative. That's because the COHQ hasn't ordered anybody. So that's a 1 + 1 is 2 for the mortar section. And with the mortar section, I think we're just going to hold those. The MG platoon. MG platoon is veteran, so we have +1. Oh, we got a lovely card here. We got 4, +1 for no contact, +1 for veteran. So we have 6 for the MG platoon. But again, I don't think I really need to spend anything. Having said that, I could order the MG to look for cover. Yeah, that's possible. That's definitely possible. Yes, okay, we will do that. We'll order the MG unit here to find cover 3 cards. It does leave our machine gun exposed if we don't find any, but I think it's worth a try. Rally, blank, and cover. Yes, okay. So we did get there. Right. Let's get a cover counter and put it in here. And we can put the machine gun in there, which is great. And I think that's all we need to put in there, really. I don't think we'll put the anti-tank unit in there. So just the machine gunner. So That's there and exposed again. Right, and finally we have the tank platoon. So the tank platoon is line. We have +1 for no contact though, and we have oh, that was a good card. 4 +1 is 5 for the tank platoon, and we will use 2 commands to activate himself and the other tank. So we'll do that and put activation markers on them. And there we go, we've got the activation markers. So all we have now left is the general initiative. So we pull a card for that. Unmodified is a 1. So we have 1 general initiative point. What should we do? Possibly this platoon here to look for some cover there, I think. Actually, no, we'll use the machine gun unit because then it can enter the cover when it finds it, because we've only got 1 command. So 3 cards for that. And we're looking for cover, of course, as before. Rally, blank, come on. Nope, didn't get it. Oh well. Oh well. So the machine gun is exposed, I believe. Actually, that's incorrect. I just looked it up. If you fail to find cover, you are not exposed. So the others did. So we're fine. Just correct for that. Okay, so that's our command phase done. And we skip the enemy activity phase because remember it's at the start of the turn. Mutual capture and retreat phase. Mutual vehicle aircraft phase. There's nothing much for the vehicles to do. That's interesting actually. I might change my mind. With the tank platoon, I might keep those I might keep those orders and not activate them this turn. So I don't want them to do anything other than possibly fire, and they're not meeting anything in this phase. So a little bit of a mistake. I'm going to slightly wind that back up and keep the 2 commands. So mutual vehicle aircraft phase, again, nothing much particularly happens, and we're in the mutual combat phase. So no fire missions to update. We have evaluating potential contact markers. So we're on a new table for this mission. Just looking at what we have here. So we are on mission 2, Japanese counterattack. So as I explained before here, we have so attack placement is turns 1 and 2. They appear with A's, and here we've got the package, the package creation. So we need to do what we normally do. So we draw cards. However, potential contact A, when there's a no contact, is automatic, and we've got the 4 there. But we need to work out which one goes first. So our usual randomizer, left to right, 1 to 4. We look at the card and it's number 4. So this potential contact marker turns into a unit. So let's look at the chart I just showed you here, and we run a card randomizing for 10, and we look at it, and 10 comes out as a 4. So 4 here is 17. Now looking at the packages we have here, I've got a little unit here. So 17 comes out as assault, and the assault is 2 rifle squads attempting to infiltrate placement card and 1 tank. Okay, right. So they are spotted they're at max range LOS, and these are particularly for mission 2. So 2 rifle squads and a tank. Okay, let's look at that then. Okay, we have our 2 squads and our tank here. So small arms 3 steps as usual. Now our tank here is an automatic weapons with a grenade type capability as well at long range. So yeah, quite a difficult customer. Now we need to work out exactly where are they coming on. So we look on our unit placement here, and we are looking at column 4, left front or front is what we call, and it's a randomizer of 5. Randomizer of 5 is a 1. So we are coming in left front. So left front of that, that unit there is actually here. So they appear here, and the squads are attempting to infiltrate. Okay, so we need to roll infiltration for these 2. They are line quality, so we need 2 cards for each to see if they succeed. So the top squad, we're looking for the 3 silhouetted soldier symbols. So that's not 1, and neither is that. So that fails and is exposed. The second one we check for infiltration, and so we'll have a look for no and yes. Okay, so 1 squad successfully infiltrated, so it doesn't get the exposed marker. The other one does, and the tank of course is there. Right, so once we have that, we can set in motion some PDF markers. So this will automatically manage to have fire coming up this lane and of course across there. So we will put a marker here and a marker here, and then of course we need to, these will always fire at the trigger if possible, so therefore there will be fire coming this way. So what do we have coming up here? We have the machine gun, so that will be automatic weapons coming in this way, and then here we also have the machine gun. So oh, hang on, that's close, long, very long. Actually we don't have any fire here because yeah, we don't have any fire because we only have long range. This is only long range as well, so these don't fire either. Okay, that's interesting. So would they really be placed there if they can't fire? I'll have to think about this. Right, had a long think about this, and firstly I noticed a mistake I made. One was that that I had the potential contact markers up here, which is wrong. They should be in row 1, which is here. That makes the whole thing a little bit more understandable about placement and things like that. The placement was talking about front, left front, etc., and I was again a bit confused on placing up at the top. The other thing I spotted is that when you are placing the enemy, if they are at max LOS, that LOS can be foreshortened by the fact that they have a shorter range than the max LOS. So the fact that they, the enemy have only got long range fire, which is 2 cards, means that you wouldn't place them 3 cards away. It definitely says you do not do that. So what I've done actually is I've just changed how we ended up here. So rather than having the units up here, kind of stuck with nobody firing at anybody, because actually the contact was here, not up there, but here, left front at max LOS would actually be on this airfield card here. This means that everything is at long range, which means we can open up with automatic fire and a crossfire from these 2 cards, and they will fire at the original contact card. So here we will have small arms fire here, and here we will have automatic fire coming up, crossfire of automatic weapons here from the machine guns for the moment. So that sorted that out, and I'm sure throughout the first part of the video, some of you might have been screaming and going, hang on, no, the potential contact marker is in the wrong place. And yeah, apologies. I think I did the trenches in the last mission in the wrong place. And of course I got the landings wrong as well. Landing timing's wrong. So sometimes just reading things, you just get it wrong, I'm afraid. But now that's cleared up, we now can continue with what we're doing here. So the potential contact marker here has been resolved. We've placed what we needed to, and now we need to look at these potential contact markers. So 1, 2, or 3, they're all A's, and with the 3 we get number 1. So it's this guy. We're checking, and now we do have contact. So therefore we do draw now, and for A contacts it's 7 cards. So let's pull those 7 cards out. 1 too many. And again, we're looking for the good old contact name. We have cover, rally, contact, there we go, and the other cards includes the reshuffle. So I will do the reshuffle now because we completed the action. Okay, done that. Let's see what we get as far as the package goes. There's our chart. There's only one chart for this mission, and on the 10 we get a 1. So a 1 comes out as a 1, as you can see here, and a 1 I believe is some mortar fire. It's the same chart as was in the mission 1, it's just different numbers of course, and yeah, sure enough, we have pre-plotted mortar fire at number 1, which is an incoming -3. That's not great. That's going to cause some real problems, and that's here. That's on top of our anti-tank gun position here. So yeah, not great, but at least it's only 1 turn. But -3 is going to hurt, specifically on our exposed guys there as well, even though they're in cover. Right, now we are of course engaged, which means we only pick up 5 cards for the other 2, or well, the next one. And which one do we do? 1 or a 2? We do number 2. So this guy goes next, and we have 5 cards to pick. Here we go. Look for our friend, the contact name. We have a blank, a rally, a cover. Here's our contact, and 2 contacts indeed. Well, if you're going to get 1, 2's just as good for getting rid of the card. So yet another contact, and we look on the 10 randomizer to see what we get. 10 gives us a 5. Now the 5, bringing this in here, our 5 gives us a knee mortar team. So that's a knee mortar in foxholes, close. Oh, okay. So close is next door to. Oh right, so they're. Wow, that's quite a turn up. Oh, hang on. I'm talking rubbish here, aren't I? I took the number off the card, which I should have then looked at the chart. So it's a 5 on the chart, not a 5 on which package. Yep, one of those little errors again. So number 5 on this package is 17. Right, apologies about that. Still getting the odd thing wrong. So this is an assault. It's an assault, which is 2 rifle squads attempting to infiltrate placement card and 1 tank. So that's what we got before. So we were doing, I think it was card 2, wasn't it? 1 or a 2, I think it was the 2, yeah. So it's this guy here. So we need to pull out yet another 2 squads and another tank. Right, yeah, we have the 2 squads and the tank, and where are they now going? So a placement roll, we do on the placement chart. We are in column 3 now. That's here. So let's grab the card, and on a 5 is a 1, and 1 is left front again. So left front at maximum LOS range would be this card here. So the tank is there, and the 2 squads are attempting to infiltrate. So they are line quality. So for each one, we will pick 2 cards and see if they're able to infiltrate with the 3 crouching silhouette soldiers. First one says no and no. And the second is no and no. So neither of them do, so they are both exposed. Not surprising if they're crossing the field, to be honest. But there we go. So that's our 3rd potential contact marker in, and I'd like to say at the moment, that's quite a lot of troops now. We've got the artillery, we've got 4 squads and 2 tanks, and we've still got 1 potential contact to go. We don't have any shared cards with the enemy, so we're not heavily engaged. We're still stuck on engaged. And finally, with this potential contact marker, we have 5 cards again, so there's a decent chance of getting even more. Even though I'm pretty set up and I've got my entire, well, most of my entire company already, I'm getting a little bit concerned by the forces coming at us. Anyway, let's turn this over and let's see what we've got. So a cover, a blank, another cover, might be lucky here, another blank, last card, and a cover. We've got nothing. Well, I think we've got quite enough to get on with, to be honest. So fairly relieved at that. Oh, we need to produce our PDFs. We will certainly open up this way, and we will also open up that way. And of course they will open up back. Just see if I can find another PDF marker. There we go. That's going that way. So yeah, so that's coming up this way. Right, yeah, so shooting down there from here. And this is small arms. And this is, of course, we have automatic fire coming from here. It's our machine gun, and just small arms for the moment from here, I believe. What have we got? No, we have some machine guns here as well. So yeah, it's all automatic fire with a crossfire, of course. Let's just organise that. So automatic fire with a crossfire. Right, So we've done all the potential contact markers. We're all set for the rest of the combat phase, and it's just sorting out the sorting out each individual card to see what happens on those cards. Okay, and as in mission 1, the tank anti-tank combat happens in the vehicle phase, so we're not dealing with the tanks at the moment. We're just dealing with the infantry. So let's just start at the top corner and end up down there, which means I get the good news before all the bad news. There's optimistic for you. So up here we have automatic weapons fire with a crossfire, so we have a -2. Against the two squads here, we have a -2. Airfield's adding nothing for cover, of course, and so we have a -2 with the exposed -4. So we have -4 on these guys, so it's, they're in real trouble here. So a -4 is of course a hit. That's doing the top guy. Of course, they are line quality. Let's see what happens to them. A P and an L. So remember, these are Japanese. Actually, P's and L's don't mean anything. An L is actually nothing happens, and a P is actually a casualty. So what we end up with is a pinned squad with only 2 steps and a casualty marker. Like so. Would have hoped for something a little bit better there, but anyway, on the second squad we're on a -4, and the -4 is of course a hit. We're on the top table there, so it's very likely to hit. And again, line quality, our hit effects are P and P. P and P turn out to be, so that should be pinned. P and P are both casualties, no paralysed for the Japanese. So this squad is replaced by a team. And here's our team, pinned, and 2 casualties. So that's much better. Much better. Replace the 1 casualty with 2. Actually, it should be 3, isn't it? Now, yeah, there's 3 casualties there. So very effective here. Moving on to here, we have our exposed guy here. Automatic weapons fire, crossfire gives us a -4 on the exposed unit. The exposed unit on a -4 is of course hit, and the results for line is just a P. So we will knock a pip off that squad and add another casualty. Right, that's all the nice results. Now we're on to an unexposed, which is just the -2. Still quite good though. -2 is still a hit, which is great, and the hit is AP, so same again. So these units are pinned, and we have 2 casualties here. Right. Okay. Actually, I think I will stack these guys. Saved our pinned units. Okay. That's all the good news. Now starts the bad news, and we're into our cards here. We have an incoming here, -3 mortar. So let's get the bad news over first. We have our machine gun unit, which is in cover. We are on a -3. Sorry about that. Camera went out of memory, so I just had to make some space. Right, where were we? Okay, this card. So -3, -5 for the engaged, +2 for the card, and +1 for the cover. So +3 gets us to -2. So not a good not a good chart for that machine gunner. Let's see, -2. Oh, look at that, it's a miss. -2 is a miss. Marvellous. Okay, well, that preserves our automatic fire. Now we've got our platoon HQ here, -3 and +2. So on the -1 here, still not great for an HQ. -1 is a hit. And we have a reshuffle, which I'll do in a minute. And just checking the MG Platoon 2 HQ is veteran. We get a paralysed. Well, that's our platoon HQ out for the moment. Well, out for the mission, to be honest. Let's get our paralysed marker down. Here we go. Yeah, that's really not good. One of our command HQs is gone. We're going to be then going through our squads here, which are all on -1. Ow. So, second squad's up there on a -1. A -1 is a hit. This is really going to hurt, this artillery fire. A hit on 2-2 is line, so on the line we have a PF. So, right, we need to swap this guy out to its 2 pip version, and we have another paralysed and a fire team. Okay, so yeah, well, I'll just put them there by the pinned marker for the moment. We've got a hell of a lot more to get through. So third squad, which is line, -1, and a -1 is a hit as well. Oh god. And it's a PL, so paralysed and litter team. So 3-2 gets swapped out, and we have a paralysed and a litter team as well. Not good, not good at all. However, this is probably the worst we're going to get. A paralysed and a litter team. Let's get those as well. Then we're on to our bazooka chap here, which is on a -1 as well. And the -1 comes out as a hit, of course it does. This is only a team. They are line, and they become an assault team. Which is, they drop their weapons. Drop the bazooka and become an assault team. Which is all well and good, but I'd rather have the bazooka, really. And finally, our anti-tank unit. Yeah, worried about this on a -1. Let me see if there's any. Is there any? I don't think it makes any difference that they're the tank team. Let's have a look. The tank gun. No, it's just pretty much just a team. So -1 on them as well. Yeah, -1 is of course a hit, and the hit, they are line, is a fire team. So do we have a fire team on the back of this? We do, actually. We do have a fire team on the back for the anti-tank, company anti-tank. So everybody, with the exception of the assault team, is pinned. Let's get the less useful units here. However, I mean, the one thing we did get, actually, yeah, we need to, I think what I might do is have 2 stacks here. Paralysed, litter teams, etc., all the LATs in 1 stack with the pin marker. And then if we have the squads and fire teams, in another pin stack just to provide some differentiation. We've still got a live machine gun team, which is great and possibly the best we could hope for that concentrated mortar fire. And at least we only have one turn of it. Well, we got a whole new load of PC markers next turn. So yeah, temporarily, certainly, we're still up and firing. Yeah, that was exposed, but we will remove it. Right, next we have small arms fire here as well. Remember, we're not getting automatic weapons from the tanks because the tanks don't do anything until the vehicle phase. They need to place that that VOF, and they haven't had the chance to do that yet this turn, and won't get it. It'll happen next turn. So small arms fire coming into here, which is a 0, +2 for the Palm Grove defense. So everybody's on +2. We'll start with the machine gun. +2 is a miss. The gunnery sergeant +2 is a miss, just. The artillery forward observer on a +2 is a hit. Damn. Okay, he's line and he is paralysed. So right, let's take the artillery FO off. That's annoying. And another paralysed team to be put on. Okay, what we've got left, I believe, is the squad. We don't do the tank yet. So the squad is on a +2. +2 is a miss. Right, okay. So we lost the use of the artillery forward observer out of all that. And finally over here we have the same thing again. We do however have some exposed units under cover here. So we'll start with the platoon HQ. We're on 0 for the small arms, +2, +3 for the cover, -2 for the exposed, which gives us +1. So +1 for the platoon HQ, +1 for platoon HQ is a miss. Great. Squad underneath is a miss. I think I might have actually ignored, I did ignore a reshuffle action. I'll just do that now. Keep doing that. Yeah, okay, so yeah, I think every time I pull the reshuffle and then finish the action, and then the results of that action, I just forget to do the reshuffle. So yeah, we've done the HQ and the squad under the cover, and now we're on to the rest of the guys. So an MG there. This is now 0 +2, so on the +2 chart. So the MG on +2 is hit. And the result is litter team. So that's going to affect our fire. Though no casualties as yet. Absolute casualties, which is something. On the manpower side. Forward air controller, such as it is. So on +2 is a pin. Okay, so we'll stick him under the pin marker. Third squad here on +2 is a miss. The bazooka is a miss, and finally we have our COXO here, which is quite important, and is a miss as well. So all those +2s. Okay, so that's our combat phase. So just left with cleanup. Now we're not getting automatic fire from here into here now. However, I believe we're still getting it from this point with a bit of luck. Yes, we are. Okay, so that doesn't change. That automatic weapons and crossfire doesn't change, even though it's just small arms coming up here now. And yeah, here we still have automatic weapons fire coming up here as well, and from here. So those are all preserved. Here we need to change these to all pinned, because all the units are pinned. These squads here, and just removing exposed markers. So with a bit of luck, our machine gunners, certainly here and here. I didn't actually put the machine gunners in there, did I? Yeah, the machine gunners here and here are covered at least by extra cover. Yeah, we need to get rid of that exposed marker as well. I think we're all sorted here. So after clean up, that's turn 1. So we're on to turn 2 of 4. And yeah, it's hotted up very, very quickly here. Haven't taken any absolute casualties, but quite a lot of LATs have appeared. But we have decimated the infantry here, the Japanese infantry coming across the airfield. So let's see how we go for turn 2, and hopefully you'll join me for that. But bye for now.